We begin with breaking news out of Iran. State media is confirming that Iranian President Ebrahim Raisi is dead, killed in a helicopter crash in the Iranian province of East Azerbaijan. This is unverified new video into us a couple of hours ago from Iranian media. You can see Red Crescent workers transporting bodies from the scene of the crash site. Iranian news confirming all passengers were killed in that crash, which includes Iran's foreign minister and 6 other passengers and crew, in addition to President Raisi. The crash happened yesterday in a mountainous area in the far northwest of Iran, near the border with Azerbaijan. It took rescuers hours to reach the crash site, which was covered in thick fog. Rebecca Collard has been covering this story for us, and she joins us now this morning. Rebecca, what is the latest on this situation?
So as you said, Marianne, we now have confirmation from Iranian authorities that all the passengers on this helicopter yesterday died in this crash, and that includes both the country's both the country's president and the country's foreign minister. And so, just to put that in perspective, these are the second 2 top officials in the country after the country's supreme leader. So a very, very significant event for Iran. Now, we know that the plane, I should say the helicopter, went down around 1:30 p.m. Yesterday, and shortly after that, this very difficult search and rescue operation began. Now, you can see in some of the video footage that we have here the steepness of the terrain where this helicopter went down. And yesterday, we understand this area was just basically blanketed in fog, and there was only a few hours before the sun set and this rescue operation became even more difficult. Now, it was the early hours of this morning when search and rescue crews did finally come across the site of this helicopter. And you can see by the images, by the impact and the condition of the helicopter, it does seem unlikely that any of the passengers were able to survive that crash, Marianne. Now, the key thing that we don't know and we have not heard from Iranian authorities is what caused this crash, what caused this helicopter to go down yesterday afternoon. And I will just say there has been no indication from Iranian authorities that they believe that there was any sort of foul play involved, that they believe this was any sort of an attack on the country's president or the country's foreign minister, Marianne.
So, Rebecca, while that investigation continues, of course, there has likely been a lot of reaction. So what has been the reaction out of Iran today?
Yeah, what we've heard from the leadership, especially from the country's supreme leader, is that, first of all, of course, condolences, mourning, calling for Iranians to prayer. And we have seen mass prayers across the country really since the news of this helicopter being missing broke yesterday afternoon. Iranians have been praying. And what we've heard from the country's supreme leader is, first of all, obviously that mourning, condolences, calls for prayers, but also really trying to reassure Iranians and of course, also people outside of the country that everything is fine in Iran, that there is, that everything will be stable, that there is no problem inside the country, because, of course, as I said, these are the 2 top officials after him. Now, the country's supreme leader has already confirmed that a vice president will be taking the position of President Raisi. There's also been already a placement for the foreign minister, and we know that there will be elections within the next 50 days to replace Raisi. Now, the other thing I'll say is that we've seen a lot of an outpouring of grief and mourning from Iranians. But, Marianne, not all Iranians are going to feel that way about the death of Ebrahim Raisi. He has very much overseen the very heavy-handed crackdown on anti-government protests over the last year and a half. He has been seen as a hardliner after he took the place of Hassan Rouhani. And, he had the reputation, the name, the butcher of Iran, or the hangman of Iran. And that was actually not because of the recent anti-government demonstrations, because of his role in the 1980s in trying and sentencing to death dissidents against the Iranian regime. So, we've seen grief and outpouring of grief from Iranians, but that is not the way a lot of people are going to be feeling about this, Marianne.
All right, thanks for this, Rebecca. And of course, we'll be checking in with Rebecca throughout the morning for all of the latest developments.